Hello and welcome to Her Matters. I am your host. My name is Chioma Omero.
Culture of silence. Again, silence, because if you even try to say, oh, he did this to me, she did this to me, people then say, where's your proof? Are you sure?
Now, what I've seen is parents are not talking to their daughters and their sons. They are not talking to them. So when
people now think that if someone in the medical profession or in healthcare or in that field carries out the process, it would be safer.
The other part of it is the way we structured our healthcare system to actually selectively, remove these preterm medicine vendors out of the entire health loop. We don't officially recognize them, but there's a significant role they have to play.
Hello and welcome to Her Matters. I am your host. My name is Chioma Omero. Her Matters is a talk show series that focuses on pressing issues affecting women across the world. Today, we discuss sexual reproductive health. And with us on the show today are two wonderful guests who are going to help us talk through this issue. First, we're going to have Zainab Balogun Nwachukwu and Oluwapelumi Aleshinloye King. So I'm very, 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 very happy to be doing this particular conversation because I'm doing it with none other than my own sister, my own friend, my person who, when it comes to this particular topic, I know some stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not even going to bother introducing you, so I'm going to let you introduce yourself
Okay.
to the viewing public.
Okay. Well, my name is Zainab Balogun Nwachukwu, and I am an actress. I was just about to say I'm a singer. I'm not a singer. In my shower, I am. But I'm an actress and, an advocate for women's health, most importantly, sexual and reproductive health.
So now, Zainab, this sexual, because I know that when it comes to the sexual and reproductive health situation, I know that you've been going through a lot, but you never really said anything.
Right.
So, I mean, some of us knew, but of course it wasn't like
it wasn't public. Right.
It wasn't public. It was sort of like we knew between ourselves and among ourselves what you were going through. But I want you to let's talk a little bit about what you went through.
Okay.
And just the process of getting to this place.
Getting to this point. The journey started, let's say, the first day that I had my period, which was when I was about 12. And I'd always had like really painful periods to the point where, I wouldn't be able to go to school or, in uni, wouldn't be able to go to work. I'm talking like crippling, rolling on the floor, passing out from pain. How I would describe the pain is literally like somebody taking a barbed wire and just kind of like ringing it in your stomach and your insides. So I was misdiagnosed with a bunch of things, whether it was dysmenorrhea or IBS. And in 2020, I had what I would call a very irregular period where I had about 2 cycles in a month, and that happened for 2 months. So that prompted me to go and see a gynecologist. Finding one that, I felt comfortable with was a whole nother different conversation. I had to Google and, ask friends and until I settled on someone who was pretty amazing. So we did an ultrasound, which revealed that I had 2 cysts, so a smaller cyst on the right ovary and a larger cyst on the left. So the larger cyst was what they called a torsion cyst. It was twisted. And they saw it as something that they needed to, take out and resolve quickly because, we weren't sure what kind of liquid was in it and the weight, as it continued to twist. So I went in for a laparoscopic surgery, literally the morning after November 20th and SARS. And that was a whole nother kind of trauma on its own. So I did the laparoscopic and, woke up the next morning and the doctors are giving me the feedback and they literally just layered on me that they discovered that I had stage 3 endometriosis. Now, endometriosis is basically where the lining of the uterus grows outside of the uterus and it has different stages. So depending on how far those endolesions kind of grow, that determines the stages. So while I was, on the table, they saw these cells in my pelvic area, they saw it in my diaphragm, liver, and attempted to kind of zap some of those cells and then put me on a treatment of Zoladex, which is basically where it's an estrogen blocker. So endometriosis is also brought on when you have an imbalance of your hormones, when you're estrogen dominant. So I was on that treatment for about a year. So that meant I had all these crazy symptoms. I was in a state of menopause. So that's everything from insomnia to anxiety to hot flashes to
so you wouldn't have been able to like try to get pregnant at
no.
Like it was out of the question.
Like, so I didn't have a cycle for an entire year. And just going through that, I think I eventually shared my story a year later, and just seeing women respond, like the stories I would get from women talking about, oh damn, you know, I went through this, or please recommend this, or you know, I'm going through something similar and I'm afraid, or I can't tell, say, my husband or my sister. Like, it just really showed me that people need to hear about this one. People need to feel safe about having the conversation, and we are long overdue of removing that stigma that you know, reproductive health is a scary conversation.
Wow. So now let's talk about just now that you're you're sharing this information. We look at around that. What do you think, in your opinion, why are we so hindered when it comes to talking about anything that has to do with either having sex, to have sex, what you use for sex, how do you have the sex? Like, it's affecting, you know, our growth, you know, just economic, well, not economic, but emotionally and intellectually.
Yes.
Right? And because this goes back to, once again, having the power over your own body, being able to say, my body, I will have control over what happens. Yeah. So, but why do you think, like I ask people all the time, why do you think we're like the way we are?
I think culture plays a huge part in education. You know, think about our parents. What was sex for? Just literally procreation. Right. It's not about enjoyment. If you enjoy it, oh, you know, good on you. So there's that education. Their parents didn't have conversations with them either. You know, they didn't learn about their bodies and how to use it, or, you know, even feeling comfortable with their bodies as well. And then in terms of like the whole reproductive health and being health conscious, culture plays a big part. People feel like if I go looking, I will find something. You know, that narrative of, well, if I don't know, I'm safe.
They say what you don't know can't hurt you.
What you don't know can't hurt you, which is a complete opposite when it comes to your health. I keep saying to people that, you know, if you can take your car in to be serviced, if your phone can be, you know, your screen can be cracked and you take it in to be fixed, like, why do we not take the same kind of attitude with our bodies? Why, as women, do we not go and get, you know, regular mammograms or pap tests, or why can't we even have the conversations with each other? There's so many people who, you know, your girlfriend, you don't know what's going on with her. You don't know her attitudes to, say, sex, or, you know, even if somebody's married, like, we don't have conversations, and that's the biggest problem, because it's a disservice to ourselves. It's a disservice to, you know, the people who come next after us. I remember I did I think in primary school, because I went to school in the UK, we did sex education when I was 11. It was a class. And we had some people come and they taught us about, you know, your period's gonna come. They gave us little packs that had small pads, mini pads and mini tampons. So when my period came when I was 12, I was ready.
Yeah, okay. So you knew
I had a mini pad.
Right.
And I knew what to do. We're afraid to even like have this. If you talk about doing a sex educational class in the educational system in Nigeria,
I don't even think it's gonna fly.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a school wouldn't even allow, like, in our curriculum, like,
parents would
education,
and they'd feel like you're trying to, you know, run their kids.
Teach your children bad things. Your children teaching them bad things. Sexual health is important for the woman herself, for her well-being. But how important is it for other people, like maybe the people in her life, for example, like?
Oh, very important. I think we need to kind of normalize just the importance of how the part that it plays, right? So me taking my sexual health or my reproductive health seriously means that when I go through certain things, whoever I go through it with, be it, say, husband or kids, they can relate with me. They can understand where I'm coming from. It means they can also empathize with my pain, should in case I have any. And they can, they can be amplifiers for me, again, should in case I need it. So it's everybody's problem, and it should be seen as such.
I know that we have organizations all over the world, non-profit and otherwise, like the World Health Organization, who have focused on sexual and reproductive health, just as taking it on, and we're forging ahead with just trying to find solutions. How do you think Nigeria is doing in that area?
I think we're doing okay. I think that there are some charities who are really working hard at, reaching people grassroots level and, reaching, say, public school kids. It's a matter of, are they getting the support that they need? Right. These things require not only money, but they require, information support, technological support. I think that is missing. I think we need bigger institutions to take this on, like say, not only just private institutions, public institutions. We need the government to also make it important, so that everything sort of streamlines and comes down, and people are no longer working in silos, because that's what's happening right now.
So on our previous episodes, we have discussed about, we keep it at the acronym, so we call it FGM, but female genital mutilation, and how it affects women's health and just sexual well-being and all of those things. Now, in your opinion, how important is that factor when it comes to
you mean the pleasure aspect?
Yeah, so sexual and reproductive health, just in relationship to FGM. Like, I just want to get your own take on that, because we had addressed it we had a nice long episode about it. Right. There's a lot to unpack when it comes to FGM. Yeah. Because you know how we just say people see it as just circumcision, but it's a whole lot more than just circumcision. It is literally just destroying and taking away from. Yeah. So I just want to get your take on that, like with regards to that in relationship to reproductive health and safety and well-being. What just your take on
I think when FGM sort of came to me, it would have definitely been while I was back in the UK, and me seeing it as this terrible thing, but a terrible, say, African problem. Right. Number one. And
guess what I found out? It's not an African problem.
It's not.
I found out it's a global situation.
Really?
It was wild. I was like, you really say where other people are going through things? Yeah, like we found out, I think it was in Sudan or Somalia. Okay. Sudan or Somalia, I think it was, I'm not sure. I think it was Somalia. Somalia, I think 95% of the women, So literally, I was like, as a child, I remember seeing it and hearing about it, and I just thought
it felt very distant. Yeah, it felt very distant to me. And I think even with that, like the things that women have had to go through, it constantly feels like we're being attacked. It constantly feels like we're being bashed, and any means to just strip us more and more of, quote unquote, our womanhood has become normalized. That's what this represents to me. Stealing a woman's ability to choose pleasure, and be, say, sexually positive, again, is another type of theft. And education, it boils down to that. Like, people do and undo because they don't understand a lot of things. And if only they were just aware, like.
There's still a lot of, there's still a lot of ignorance when it comes to the fact that you should know that you have the right to blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So, would you have any thoughts on that?
Like you said, there's a lot of ignorance. And I think that there are people who understand what the power of such knowledge can do, and they are also afraid. So they're afraid that if we let them know that this is their right, good sexual and reproductive health is their right, being sexually aware is their right, you can't control, right? You can't control the outcome. I think there are a lot of people who are afraid that there's just going to be this onslaught of like women just out, acting out, like
they'll go naked again.
They'll go naked,
yes.
and you can't contain them. So again, it boils down to it's a power play. It's a power play, and the quicker we as women realize that having these things within our possession, having this knowledge within our possession, it shifts the board a bit. The quicker, the better it is.
But what about legislation, though?
We need the laws. I think that we need them to be enforceable because they can be there and not worked. Right?
Enforceable. That's the key. Enforceable. We need them to be enforceable.
We need them. We need to believe that they're not just there for the sake of
being there.
Right. Eye service. Let's see it act. Like, let's see it work.
Because I found out that FGM is outlawed.
Right.
Like actually, you can actually go to jail. I think I was told for 4 years or so.
But how many people do we see go to jail for it in Nigeria?
When
was the last time we heard about a case?
You know what I did hear about though was that in the UK, after 40 years of being in law, finally somebody was sent to jail. A woman was sent to jail. Yes, in the UK for 11 years for allowing her daughter to be mutilated. See, in the UK it's 11 years. Here, I think it's 4 or something like that.
Right.
When you are found out.
Here there's so many problems that only God knows when they're gonna get to that.
But they have to get to it quicker because things are failing us left, right, and center, just as women, and the people that are supposed to help uphold us and keep us, where we're supposed to be, which is up there, are just tearing us down slowly, one by one.
It's hard to be a woman, but we do it so well, effortlessly. Like the world demands so much of us, and here we are, like continuously, like overperforming, over pushing the bar.
Yes. We are the nurturers, we are the this, we are the that.
We are the everything.
Give of ourselves, including even blood. We literally give blood.
We give blood.
We give our blood.
Like we're superheroes. Who goes out bleeding for like 7 days in a month, all the time, all over the place? It's us.
So like there, even with legislation and just lawmaking, it's like what 15% of women are in at least.
It is not women making laws globally about the female body.
Exactly.
It is the men sitting old.
It seems it's old men making rules about what women and girls should do with their bodies.
Yeah.
And that, I was like, for the life of me, how did we get to this place? Well, I guess we kind of sort of know because it's how it started. That's how it's always been. I think we're starting to sort of be aware.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever late, they say, but I feel like it's now about
picking momentum now.
And maybe making more women want to get into the place where they're able to make
decisions,
and decisions about how and what we do with our agency, which is our bodies.
Yeah.
This is your agencies, your body is your agency. So what you do with it, you should know.
I completely agree.
So we know that everybody goes to the internet for everything.
Yeah.
You go to the internet to learn how to do everything, and you want information about everything. You can self-treat yourself from the internet. Everybody's doing that. Now, when it comes to people are rushing to the internet for information about sexual and reproductive health.
Right.
So I don't know what to say about how good, because it's for me
the information is there.
Should be a learning place
where
you go and get information. So how useful do you think the internet is when it comes to information about sexual and reproductive health, being that this is something that is really intimate and really sort of it's kind of like
it's delicate,
you can't.
So I feel like when we're talking about the internet now, like we're talking everything. We're talking the the platforms, the search engines, and social media. So yes, there is a lot of information out there, which can be extremely overwhelming, but it's also not tailored to you.
Right.
So my circumstance is very unique. And I feel like the way I was able to sort of expand my knowledge was through my peers, not necessarily from the internet.
Right.
Where speaking to another person who had gone through something similar and could advise, give me some advice and say, hey, check out this person, or, check out food or dietary stuff. Like, it was just one point after the other. I think there's also a lot of dangers with the internet and information and misinformation. Social media doesn't necessarily help with that too. Just being able to regulate that this piece of information is truth versus this has a little bit
So of course you would advise people to just always see an expert.
Always see an expert.
Let me talk to the camera directly. Always see an expert first, then maybe supplement some of your information from the expert with what you like. Maybe becomes
and always get a second opinion.
A third if you can, fourth if you can, because especially in Nigeria, my dear, Dr. 1 might not be the answer, but Dr. 3 might be closer to the answer than Dr. 1 was.
Right.
So always just get a second or third opinion. So Zainab, thank you so much for coming on Her Matters. Thank you for giving us of your time, because I know that you're busy, we're busy.
We're busy together. We're all booked and busy together.
So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This is amazing.